Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the main token space. Thank you all for coming on this Monday, the 29th of April. Yeah, nearly got the date wrong there. We've got a good one today. We'll be talking to a very interesting mining project called SolarX. Are you there, Scott?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Looking forward to this one. We got Solar up. Is that Greg?
Greg could be. I can be anything you want to be. It's Glenn.
Glenn, sorry.
You're all right, mate. No worries. It's a Monday. We're all allowed to make name mistakes. It's all good. It's all
My
good.
apologies. My apologies.
All good.
How are you doing anyway, Glenn?
I'm still breathing. Thanks. Yeah, still breathing. It's obviously very, very hectic at the moment. We're looking. We're going to be listing very, very shortly in May. So as you can imagine, it's controlled panic. Which is
Yes, I think things will turn for the better. I think we're generally on an upward trend. Obviously, things are fluctuating a bit at the moment, but I have high hopes.
There's always high hopes, mate. I mean, look at it as a long-term investment, right? You wouldn't be cashing in your pension in 5 minutes, cashing your crypto in 5 minutes, right?
Well, that's it. That is definitely it. So, Glenn, could you introduce yourself? Like, when did you get into crypto, and how did you get involved with SolarX?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Obviously, I could probably say that I'm probably the oldest one here. I'm at the right side of 50. I've been mainly involved in the traditional side of derivatives trading for some time now. Back when I had hair, started working in London on various foreign exchange desks. Then decided to start moving because it's a big, wide world out there. So first of all, moved to Denmark, spent some time there with a well-known bank, then moved to Australia at the arse end of the Anglophile world and started working for a high-frequency trading foreign exchange shop. I then came back to Denmark for my sins because I love so much the winter that's there, which is grey, horrible and nasty. Apologies to all those Danes. I actually do like the country. We then made the move to the US, where I worked for a derivatives broker in New York. Then decided to move to the Middle East. And that's where my first exposure to crypto was. I became a director of Kraken and got them regulated within the ADGM confines in Abu Dhabi. And just to bring everyone up to speed, if you don't know, the ADGM is the Abu Dhabi Global Markets, and they were the first free zone in the Middle East to actually regulate crypto trading by the exchanges there. So it was a very, very good steep learning curve there. And what they actually done, and sorry to take it off topic just a little bit, but I think regulation obviously is coming into the fore in crypto more and more, is what the ADGM done was they took a foundation from traditional regulation and then consulted with Kraken, which I was a part of, to put in the various bits and pieces that was relevant to crypto trading on the exchanges at that moment in time. So at that moment, both ADGM and Kraken were at the forefront of actually getting regulation, a stamp of approval. And it was actually a very, very momentous time to be involved in that because it was the first sort of sensible regulation that's actually been out. And since then, there's been various leaps by various other countries and jurisdictions with regards to regulation. But I'm quite proud to say that we was the first ones to actually start developing that in the Middle East, and that went from strength to strength.
So you're incredibly well travelled, and
mate, look, here's the thing. I mean,
is huge.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm pretty much like a traveling circus. I have 2 dogs, 4 cats. They probably have their own collection of air miles. They probably have quite a few bits of duty free. But the traveling didn't stop then. I actually moved from the Middle East into Cyprus, where I founded a derivative broker, and then moved back to the US and was involved with another layer 1 crypto blockchain project. And that was totally decentralized, and that was having the APK and the node on something as simple as a cell phone. So it was a fully approving, confirming, constructing node on a cell phone. So pretty much cutting edge at that moment in time, which leads me up very succinctly to SolarX, because SolarX in its own right is very, very cutting edge. And SolarX is going to be doing what no other project out there has done. There's no book, there's no guide. And it's a case of, we're the first ones out of the block on that one. And that's to do all with not only our miners, but also the layer 1 blockchain. So getting involved in this for me, for SolarX, was actually quite an easy decision to make.
Okay.
Because I've been used to those projects that haven't been normal, not normal as in, but just, that they've been redefining something else. They've been taking it over what was normally expected and doing something that hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
So it was very, very high risk, but the rewards itself were, much more beneficial than sitting in an office from 9 to 5 and then having 2 days off on the weekend. So even though,
and it's really, I imagine it's incredibly exciting as well. Being involved in cutting edge.
It puts years on you. I gave up smoking. Well, I gave up smoking 12 years ago.
I'm 30, looking 80 at the moment.
Really? No, I gave up smoking. And sometimes I think, you know what, I really could get back into it. But, it's good. And look, coming from that sort of foreign exchange trading background, we usually have the attention span of a goldfish. Every day is different, and we're always looking for something different and something new and exciting to do. And certainly with SolarX, it does actually come into that, ticks my boxes.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm looking forward to actually seeing out for a long time to come.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a very interesting project. The last, I've not really, I did a small amount of dabbling in mining, probably back in 2016 when I was messing around with, Dogecoin and different things, and you could mine on your PC basically with some software, but it was incredibly it was not something that everyone would be able to do because it was very difficult. Several different keys you'd need for security and stuff, and then you'd literally run it in some sort of command prompt. It was a long time ago when I was doing this, but it was so confusing and convoluted to try and mine anything. And I wish I'd done it now in retrospect.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing. I mean, hindsight would be a great thing, at 3:30 at Belmont Park. But it's sometimes you've really got to jump in both feet forward and see what happens, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think a lot with crypto is of that sort of nature, right? You can't just wait until something else comes out of it. You have to be the one out there that's making the change. And certainly with the way it's going. It's a very, it's exactly the same as the derivatives industry went through the paradigm shift in the mid 90s. Yeah. Crypto is now doing that now, but the difference is it's much faster. It's either that, I'm much older and everything seems faster now. I don't know. Pick any one from two.
But with how sort of convoluted it was and difficult, your layman wouldn't be able to mine. But obviously, with SolarX, it seems to be something that consumers will be able to do. So how do we actually mine, and what does it involve if you're going through the SolarX?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm probably gonna bore your senses now. One of the things that Satoshi envisaged back when he wrote the paper was that the whole thing about crypto and Bitcoin would be for the masses. And it wouldn't be just the 1% that actually benefits from this shift. Now, I think, without being controversial, I think we can look back at that and see where we are at the moment. And I can safely say, I think we've failed so far because the 1% now doesn't wear suits. The 1% now wears t-shirt and jeans and has 3-liter bottles of Coke and plays World of Warcraft. It hasn't given crypto and it hasn't given that evenness to the wider population. So that's very, very important that we make everything a lot simpler. And my sort of feeling is if you can't explain this to anybody in the street within 30 seconds, then you've failed. And for 30 seconds to actually explain me how do you mine with SolarX is thus: buy the unit, plug it into the solar panel, point it at the window, 5 hours of sun, you've just done mining for 24 hours. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. It comes complete with an app on the Google Play Store and the Apple Play Store. So it actually tells you how much you're actually earning, and that's it. There's no programming knowledge. There's no mashing of the keyboards. There's no phoning up a younger member of your family and saying, what have I done? Can you help me? That's it. It's very, very simple to actually get going. And that's all you need to know.
Yeah, I think that is, part of the issue with mining, a massive issue with mining is just that it wasn't approachable by the average person. And the fact that you can just, buy the device and plug it in, it sounds amazing.
That's basically all it is. I mean, there's nothing else you really need to do. I mean, unless you're living in a cave and don't see sunlight, then it could be a little bit impossible. I mean, I regularly joke with my Scandinavian friends that we'd only be good for 3 months of the year.
And UK, bro, we don't get any sun here either.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm in the northeast coast of the US, and sometimes in the winter that can be the case as well. But as long as you're not living in Iceland and as long as you're not living in a cave, you should be able to actually get that 5 hours of daylight on a daily basis, and that ticks your machine over 24 hours.
Okay. And are you guys providing just the device, or are you selling solar panels with it?
No, it comes complete. So the price you see is the price you pay. That comes with the unit, that comes with the lead, and that comes with the solar panel.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you don't need to have an existing solar system or anything like that. It's all there.
I mean, as long as the only other prerequisite is that it's obviously connected to Wi-Fi or a data connection. So effectively, if you're stuck on, if you're going out for, I know how bad the traffic is in the UK. If you're driving out for a bank holiday weekend and decide to park on the M25 because of the jams, you could take your miner with you, put the panel on the windscreen. As long as it's connected to data, you might as well earn some money while you're burning it in gas.
Yeah, very true. What I was going to say is, if you can't purchase a miner, are there any alternatives to?
There is. I mean, obviously, I mentioned earlier, if you live in a cave or you don't actually see sunlight so much. There are other options as well. I mean, possibly, you don't have the funds available to actually buy the full miner, even though it's coming in at $740 with the shipping all inclusive. You may not want to, dip your toes in full on, but you also want that choice as well. So what we're actually doing, we're planning for this shortly after token launch on the CEX. There's actually going to be a couple of months later a fully fractionalized, tokenized investment site, which will not only have hosting for SolarX mining rigs, but also other mining rigs of other coins and tokens as well. So you'll be able to actually, purchase or semi-own percentages of SolarX mining rigs, as well as other mining rigs as well. And this could all be facilitated by purchasing the SolarX coin and literally buying 10%, 20%, whatever you want. This gives you, the advantage of you can mine when you want, take your profit when you want, go and mine another coin if you want, take your profit if you want, and basically chop and change between not only the SolarX offerings on our chain, but also other chains as well. So it gives you that flexibility and choice, which is, I think, what everyone wants. And that'll be a very, very simple procedure as well. If you're used to buying and selling shares and percentages of shares and equities, then this will be a breeze for you.
That's interesting, man. So if you were to say purchase, 10 SolarX miners, would that person be able to sell allocation, part of their mining?
This will be something that we're hosting with miners in a hosted location. So at the moment, we're very, very near actually signing agreements for a couple of hosted mining farms.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be stashing our own miners in these farms and pointing them at the sun with much larger solar panels. Of course, they're not going to be plugged in because that is against the ethics of what we're all about. So if you don't want to fill up your whole bedroom or your lounge with loads of miners, and you don't want to blind your neighbor with a solar panel sticking out the window in one of you, and you want a bit more choice, then you can come along to the fractionalized investment site, use your SolarX coins and just fractionally invest and go from there and collect the coins and whatever coins from whatever protocol you wish. So you're not bound by having, loads of miners in your room or any other facility. So
yeah, okay.
And this will grow. I mean, we're
sorry for cutting you off, but a lot of people are actually new to the space. But do you remember Elon? He posted saying we're going to accept Bitcoin to buy Tesla. Then all of a sudden he stopped it because of the environment. Obviously, not everyone remembers that, but that's how it worked, and that was his excuse not to accept payment for Tesla. I've just pinned a post in the Nest, and that's my opinion and what you're bringing to the space. And honestly, I'm really excited for what you're bringing, mate.
Well, thanks. I mean, look, one of the other things we was actually considering as well. I mean, look, this is a complete paradigm shift as well. I mean, one of the things that's threatening, not so much threatening, but one of the the threats of
Excuses
is regulation, right? I mean, they don't want these rightly or wrongly, they don't want masses of farms to be chewing up the whole electricity supply for towns, and I kind of get it. I kind of don't get it. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get away from the argument that everyone makes, rightly or wrongly. But so the only way that you can actually bring the solution is, look, we can mine now, and we can mine it in a fashion where it doesn't actually affect any fossil fuel industry. We're not pumping out mass loads of fumes and from fossil fuel mining to actually power these farms. Then don't have to be cooled. The miner itself doesn't make a noise, that there's no fan in there. It just ticks along silently, so you won't even know it's there. So it answers that question completely. There are no emissions. There is no usage of electricity, and therefore there's no usage of fossil fuel industries, right? So it's
no one can complain about you stealing the sun's energy.
No, I mean, the only thing they could probably, I mean, look, the only thing that our threat is if someone comes up with a way to actually block out the sun, which is much like the UK in January, right? But that's done in natural causes.
Well, this year, February, March, and April.
Yeah, and probably a little bit of July. But unless someone figures out a way to block the sun, then that's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a perfect solution, and it's a very low level way to get entrance into the mining industry without having that that intrinsic knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. I think also important to cover what you were saying earlier about if we don't have a mine, obviously you can look at purchasing it didn't have to be SolarX coin basically, but when you do have a miner, does it only mine SolarX, or can you adjust it to different tokens, or how does that work?
You can. I mean, you can. And the good thing is, being a layer 1 protocol, it's open for other projects to build on. And the good thing is, in theory, this is a deep-in project. I mean, in due course, the plans are that the miners will become the nodes. They'll become approving, constructing, confirming nodes in their own right, which obviously secures the chain. The benefit of this is if you're a new project and you're espousing to be carbon neutral and ESG friendly and eco-friendly and green and everything else, what chain are you going to choose to list on? Are you going to go and list on a chain that chews up fossil fuels to power it, or are you going to choose SolarX, where everything is, our blockchain's powered by the sun? As soon as you mint your token on our chain, you as a project owner have the choice that these can be mined by our individual mining machines. So the benefit is it spreads geographically and adds safety to the chain. Now, the good thing for the mining purchasers, whether you have something on the hosted site or you have miners at home, is that you will be able to actually choose which coin you wish to mine at that moment in time. So there may be a coin up and coming on our project that's been released and that's being mined by SolarX chain. It's coming up for release. There's a lot of hype in front of it before listing. You might think, you know what, I want in on this. I'm going to start mining this coin. So you have that choice. You can do that because it's part of our chain and it's part of the miners. So yes, you do have that choice. Now, obviously, to begin with, it's going to be the SolarX coin, but we have a number of projects that are queuing up to actually build on our chain. I'll go into them a little bit later on because there's a very, very exciting competition that we're going to be part of that's releasing this week. But it gives the project the choice and it also gives the miners the choice. So you're not set in your ways to one coin, right? So you do have that option.
Yeah, definitely. And that's an interesting thought that, you don't really see a lot of sort of eco, because as Scott was saying, there isn't an eco-friendly way to have a crypto coin, really, because obviously of how much power and stuff that it's and how it's being mined. So that will pave the way for a whole host of new tokens with an eco-friendly side to them, which is, it sounds awesome. But how else can projects, if they launch on your blockchain, take advantage of it?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, the more miners that we have out there in the ecosystem, the safer the chain is. And as crypto actually evolves, the security is paramount. I think you probably walked into that this morning earlier, right? It needs that safety there. It needs that underlining security. And you can only get that if you actually decentralize the whole protocol as such, and there's no one single point of failure. Now, the only way you can actually guarantee there's no single point of failure is if there's no one within a server that can go along and switch off your protocol and everything dies, right? We've seen that happen. It's quite common. But if you have a decentralized environment where every miner is their own node and their own approving, constructing, confirming, then it's going to take a hell of a lot to actually close down all of the miners at once, unless, as I said earlier, you're blocking off the sun. Right. So it's that security is paramount. And that's the advantage that we have over everybody else. I mean, look, there's, as you say, there's other decentralized projects out there, and they have their pros and they have their cons. But at the end of the day, they're still utilizing power, whether that's off grid or on grid. Ours is off the grid 100%, and it won't be anything else as it actually proceeds. So that's how I see us sort of giving that advantage to any other project out there. I mean, the other thing that we're espousing to do with the project, we're very, very new. We're very, very adaptable. We can change tact. We're not enveloped in red tape. We're interested to see what projects want to build with us. We will certainly give them 100% support going forward, because look, it's in our best interest that there's as much visibility in their project and our project, because it benefits everyone. And I'm just going to touch on, because this segues into what's going to be launched this week.
Okay.
We're actually a protocol in a GDA capital event called the Next Top Blockchain Startup. So at the moment, the prize money is about 250,000. That may will get slightly larger as major protocols are now signing up. So what happens is that if you're building a crypto project, you go onto the Next Top Blockchain Startup competition, you choose a track, which is basically your protocol, and then you build your project on that track. At the end of the month or so, the judges have a look at what's been built on each protocol and then award the prize money. But the winners actually then go on to potential VC funding. And then from that VC funding, they then get to build the full product on the protocol. Now, with us being the first out the block on the ESG front, I can guarantee you that we'll be taking quite a few projects from that incubation stage and actually launching them on SolarX. And the thing is, look, we're pretty much excited on what the ideas are and what's being proposed to be built on our chain, because no one else has done this. So I'm looking forward. I'm very excited to see what everyone's going to come up with. We have the top universities there. We have quite a few hacking groups are there, and there's quite a few blockchain companies that are actually proposing to actually enter this competition. And the prize money is actually quite substantial, with the major protocols and then us. Right? So yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to it.
That's really interesting. That's an interesting way to get people to develop on the blockchain, isn't it? Really, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think the best ideas are the ones that are born out of madness, because usually the mad ideas are the best ideas, right? And if you can build it, they will come, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this.
You might have some actually quite interesting eco meme coins or something,
Well, you know what? As much as I'm not particularly fond of meme coins, our chain will probably be the best chain to launch on, given the security aspect.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, obviously, but they have their place in the
have their
crypto
place.
world. But but it's just it's an interesting thought,
It is, and I'm looking forward to it. And look, if anyone wants information on that one, I'm only too happy to point them in the right direction. More the merrier on that one.
When does that finish then, the competition?
It's on for about a month or so. So I think the competition starts either this week or the next, and then I think it runs up until judging, which I think is in June. So you
I was
get a
going to say
month
you'd
and a
need
bit
some
to
time,
actually
wouldn't
build
you?
everything.
They'd need some
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think it's mid to end of June it actually ends, and that's when the judging will occur and the winners are announced. So you do have a degree of time out there to actually get everything together.
Awesome. So where do you see the future of mining and SolarX in 5 years' time?
That's an excellent question. And usually when someone asks that question, it's usually when you're sitting in an interview looking at someone and someone says to you, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And usually the answer is older, wiser, and 5 years closer to death.
Oh, gosh.
But with my, that's how happy I am sometimes, right? But with SolarX, I think I'd like to take myself 5 years into the future. I'd like to look back and think, how the hell were we still plugging in miners back then? What was wrong with us, right? And because now in the future, everything is powered by either by eco-friendly power. Either it's going to be from the sun, or that's from wind power, or any other eco-friendly source of power that can be extrapolated.
Not volcano. The whole
Anything,
country.
right? Well, it might be a tad warm, but again, for parts of Scandinavia, that could be a bonus. But it's all that sort of thermal energy, and everything else that's out there hasn't been harnessed yet for mining, and it has to be. It's the natural progression of things. I mean, who thought sitting here now that we'd be listening to streaming music? 5 years ago, that was impossible, right? We'd still be putting plastic things in a CD player. Or we'd be waiting 24 hours for a song to download that had a video attached to it. Now it's in a matter of seconds. And you look back 10
bro.
years ago,
100%,
right?
man.
You look back 10 years ago and think, how the hell did we put up with this? How the hell did we plug in a phone and dial a number when it's all on the cell phone, right? Cell phones now have probably more power than a laptop did 15 years ago. There's more power in a cell phone now. So I'm under no illusion that in 5 years in the future, where I am now with SolarX, for example, there's going to be solar panels there that are much more efficient, that will be able to cover Bitcoin in its entirety, because don't forget, Bitcoin is very, very difficult to mine because of the power that's actually needed. But in 5 years' time, that's going to be a question that's going to be answered. Already we have solar panel technology coming from Asia that is much smaller and can produce much more power. Therefore, it can be much more utilized for mining in the broader sense, which brings me on succinctly to competition, right? And I know I'm just deviating from the 5 years. In 5 years' time, there will be a lot more competition for SolarX, and that's a good thing, because it means that awareness is much greater than it was where we are at the moment. And it has to get to that stage where it's acceptable. And the only way that you're going to get to that point of it being acceptable is by having competition, because competition drives everybody on to achieve something that no one else has. You don't want to get lazy. You want to keep on innovating. And that's the only thing that competition can actually give you. So I'm actually quite looking forward to having competition out there, as and when or if it appears, which it should do, right? But that's where I see us in 5 years' time, where we're looking back and going, why the hell did we plug this stuff in? Why the hell did we pay some guy from an electricity board this amount of money, right?
But no, that's a great answer, and I totally agree with you. A lot of people don't agree with the competition thing, but I disagree completely. I think competition is what it inspires people to be better, and especially with companies and like a lot of people, for instance, I know we're sort of going off topic and stuff, but like the console industry, that sort of thing, people talk about exclusive games and things like that, but it's that competition that makes the better product at the end of the day. And I totally agree with that. I think 5 years time, when there's more people in the marketplace, it shows that that space is there for a reason and people want to use it. But yeah, I totally agree with
It's exactly right. It's exactly right. I mean, competition is what drives innovation.
Yeah.
Right. It would be a boring world if there wasn't. Right, and that's why large companies get cut up at the end of the day. Right, because it's a stagnant market, and you need to have that carrot. And a large company with monopoly will just be the stick. Right.
But yeah, I and solar, you know, I've been looking at getting solar panels myself, because of the rate that they are improving in you know, production quantity, for the amount of space you have to use, and obviously the last year or last couple of years, especially with Ukraine and Russia and all that kind of stuff, the price of electricity went through the roof. So I was thinking, wow, if I get solar panels, you know, how long will it take me to make my money back?
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, you know, that you know, solar panels have been here for a long time, but they haven't been that efficient. And it's only because of the competition in the industry that solar panels have got to a stage now where it does actually seem viable to put them on the roof of your house, and pay for your heating and pay for your hot water. Right. And in, you know, who knows, you know, 5-10 years time, it may well be again, you know, why did we subscribe to the gas bill? Why did we subscribe to the electricity bill when I can get everything I need and excess supply back to them by having a solar panel on the roof?
That's my long-term goal, off grid.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know, I've been in a lot of countries where solar panels are probably the only way you can get electricity, and
Yes,
it works
I mean,
fine.
you're in Dubai.
Right?
You're in Dubai, aren't you?
No, I'm in New York at the moment.
Oh, New York at the moment.
Yeah, sorry.
You're all over the place.
I know. Yeah, right.
But you were in the Middle East.
Yeah, I was in the Middle East, and funny enough, they don't actually use solar panels. Go figure. But where they did actually use solar panels to a greater extent was Cyprus, right? And that was your hot water heater.
Okay.
Very, very efficient, and that came as set standard on any house that you purchased. And funny enough, Denmark as well had quite a few houses with solar panels, but that was mainly due to the cost of electricity that was actually produced. That was very, very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's crazy. I would have thought in the Middle East they would have used solar a lot, you know.
You'd think so, right? But
they've got enough money. They've got enough money to burn, I guess.
This is true. There's that as well. There's that option to consider. But no, it is quite surprising.
Right, let's move on to this to the blockchain and the token and tokenomics and things like that. So what's going to be happening with SolarX? Where can it be bought currently?
Currently, we're in the unenviable position that the sales have actually gone very, very well, which is superb. So we're now on our public round. That's being conducted by Tencent.io, and the sale actually occurs on May the 3rd.
May the 3rd. Okay.
Yeah, May the 3rd, which is 2 days away from my wedding anniversary. So yeah, I'll be careful. I remember that. I've got to remember the other one. So that's being conducted at Tencent. That's an allocation of 3 million. Shortly after that, we will be listing with a couple of exchanges. I can't tell you what is at the moment because obviously NDAs, and that's how exchanges operate. Yeah. But in very short order, we're listing shortly after the main sale. So at the moment, that's the only place where you can actually purchase a SolarX coin at Tencent. So register with them and obviously participate in the tiered selling that they have there for the allocation they have, which is 3 million.
Yeah, so the things are coming up quite quickly then. So May the 4th. And so when would you be looking to launch?
We're looking at probably a maximum of a week after that sale. So very, very quick order, because obviously you want to keep the iron hot. Our marketing spend is carrying on. So there's a lot more people that actually know about SolarX as we're progressing. Our marketing guys are doing a stellar job. So I've got to congratulate them on that one. And every day we're seeing more and more people on our Telegram and our Discord and our Twitter, but we're also getting a lot more interest from other blockchain projects out there that are coming to us and inquiring how can we actually build on your protocol. So,
no, that's great.
All round, it's keeping me busy, which is good.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, it looks very, very interesting. Are the actual miners for sale at the moment, or are they?
They will be. I mean, we are. The miners themselves will be. Obviously, we can't send them out at the moment because there's nothing to mine.
Yeah, nothing to mine. Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, you can have it as a nice coffee coaster in the room. That's okay. It looks very good. And, you know, one of the things that actually, when we actually released the design of it, the first thing that actually came to mind and was told it looks like the Xbox of crypto miners. And looking at the design, there are some similarities there. So, you know, it has been.
When I was on the website, I saw the X and I thought, oh,
right,
they partnered with Xbox.
yeah, which would be nice. I wouldn't complain. But so, you know, round about when we come closer to exchange listing, you can start putting in your orders for miners. However, you know, there is a waiting list. And as you can imagine,
production,
it's a pretty popular bit of kit. And that's one of the reasons why we're actually doing the token launch, to actually attract funds in, so we can actually accelerate not only the coverage of the miners, but also the distribution and production. Unlike probably 99% of all other crypto projects out there that go for a token raise because they have an idea in their head and they need to build it, SolarX is different in we do have an income stream from day one.
Yeah,
right? You're not funding with the purchase of the coin our devs. You're not funding with the purchase of the coin us to fly all over the world and attend various crypto conferences. This is purely and simply marketing and dev work on the miners and distribution and production, which is great. And you know, it's quite a healthy position to be in.
Yeah, definitely. I think what was interesting, I think, as well, was what you were saying earlier about obviously Bitcoin mining, and we've just had the latest halving, haven't we? Literally like a few days ago. How is that going to be with SolarX? Is it when you're, you know, the difficulty, is that going to change or?
Yeah, it will do. I mean, we've kind of modeled it on the Bitcoin principle of actually mining, where as the difficulty increases, so the income decreases as well. So the more sort of, it's based on a wattage rating more than anything else, because that's how it has to be.
Oh, that's smart. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and we've also, here's the other thing as well, right? And if you try and plug the thing in, if you try and muck around with the unit itself and try and plug it in, the software actually knows. So it knows if you're cheating, right? You know, it's like the Santa Claus of crypto miners. It's never you've been nasty, it's never you've been good, right? So it does know, it does know that, which is handy. You know, initially in our tokenomics, if you want to look at our tokenomics on the website, we have allocated a supply of coins to the miners.
Okay, yeah, because this is, I did want to go into how much is your initial supply going to be, and
then
how much can the miners?
A lot. Yeah, we've decreased it a lot because obviously recognized that, you know, no projects really from, you know, there's not going to be a substantial amount of projects day one on launch. So obviously people have to be incentivized and obviously to run these miners and to actually get the blockchain up to a secure level where it's totally decentralized. So there is an allocation of coins that we've made to the miners, right? And there's a plus and there's a pro and a con in there, and we have dealt with the cons. So the allocation to the miners is on the tokenomics. So initially, you will be mining from the supplier that's on the tokenomics allocated to the miners.
Okay.
On the other hand, here's the argument that's made against that one, and I can tell you how we've countered that. Everyone says, okay, well, if you're just mining and they're getting the coins, they're going to sell them and depress the price. And yes, that may well be correct, but we've negated that by initiating a burn of 10% of the supply of all the cashed-in coins on a quarterly basis that's enacted by the miners. So in effect, the supply will become deflationary.
Right. Okay.
When that mining supply is down to zero, which will take some time, or may not take some time at all, who knows? Then the miners themselves will be getting their earning from exactly the same way as any other miner out there does with Bitcoin and everybody else, through transmission fees, through gas fees. By then, there will be a number of projects that are on the SolarX protocol, so that will be easily generated. So we won't be having to rely on any mining supply, and the mining supply itself is counteracted by a periodic burn.
Okay, so just to wrap my mind around it slightly. So you're saying that the beyond, you know, when there's no allocation left, you will then be mining other tokens. Is that right?
You'll be mining still. You won't be mining as such. You're just living off transmission fees, right? Or
right,
your transmission fees on SolarX And then all the other projects that are released on that, you will be mining their coins.
Oh,
So
okay.
twofold.
I see.
Again, you get that lovely thing called choice.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. Because what actually surprised me was when you told me about initially when you plug it in for 5 hours, you'll have 24 hours of mining capability. Is that something that will change with the difficulty? Like, will it use more power?
No, I mean, the power's capped pretty much. I mean, it basically is the amount of power that actually generated to actually initiate that mined coin. So obviously when the difficulty increases, the mined coin will be less.
Yeah.
That's when you may well consider to switch over to mining another coin. So you get that choice, right?
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
There's one more thing I want to mention. there is obviously, look, we're developing new and shinier miners as well.
Yeah.
So the miner that's released now will not necessarily be the same sort of spec as a miner we're releasing next year or in the future. So they may well be a lot more powerful because obviously as solar panel technology increases, so the power increases, so our unit can increase in its capabilities.
Yeah, and I think we're at a point now where, you know, things are advancing very quickly in the solar space. So it'd be very interesting to see what, you know, this is why I haven't got solar panels yet, because I don't want to buy a whole bunch of them and then, you know, a year down the line, there's,
look, you know, we all buy a laptop hoping it's future proof, and in 3 years' time, we go, oh, I've got to get another one. I can't play this anymore.
But with a smaller investment, that's fine. You know, that's fine. Like with,
well, I mean, here's the thing: if you can't afford one, or you think there's something bigger and better coming out down the line, then just invest in the fractionalized site. Go from there. It's your choice, right?
Do you have any sorts of prices of the mining hardware?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the unit itself is $740 US.
Okay.
That includes shipping, so you don't need to calculate the shipping cost on top of that unit. So the price you see is the price you pay, and that's what's shipped out to you.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, it looks really interesting. I would, I'm excited to see where this goes. Definitely looking next week at Tencent to see how that goes, and then obviously the launch.
Yeah, and then after that, I might be able to actually take a day off. Who knows, right?
You're like Scott; he can't stop working. I
know, right?
It's all these crypto, you know, it's all these crypto project owners. They just don't go to sleep, you know.
Oh, I try.
Nah, and do you know what, bro? I want to say a big thank you to you for obviously I postponed it for an hour, and thank you so much. So
it's no worries. It's no problem at all.
No, honestly, I'm looking forward to the launch of your projects. Obviously, you've Tencent, etc. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. I really think you got a place in the market, bro.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, look, I think we got this. You know, we got the stamp of approval from Tencent because, you know, they first started off with, you know, taking quite a low allocation, and then as they continued doing their due diligence and their KYC and their background checks and you know, and the inside leg measurements, so that allocation has actually increased. So to go from 1 million to 3 million, I think, is a stamp of approval because no launchpad takes that amount of allocation without doing their homework, and no launchpad's going to take that allocation without having a very, very good idea that they're going to sell out, right? So I think that is a stamp of approval for SolarX as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tencent, you know, they have a lot of good projects on there. I mean, Scott deals with Tencent a lot, don't you, Scott?
Yeah, they deal with really good projects, and obviously they've got some really big whales behind them as well. So it's always good to have. So do you know, with the devices, have you got any orders, or do you know what I mean? Has anyone placed any orders, or how will it work?
Yeah, no, we've got orders already. There's one actual store. If you're in the UAE, there's one store that's actually signed up to take quite a considerable amount of units from day one. And they're wishing to distribute it themselves and actually attach a warranty to it. So again, that's another stamp of approval from the retail industry. I mean, that's going to be something that we're going to be exploring also after post-launch. And one of the reasons I touched on earlier with regards to production and distribution, right? And that's something that we've got to solve and accelerate. Obviously, to sustain the coin price as well. So it has to be carefully managed, but slowly and steadily increasing it.
That's what I was going to say. How would you
But
manage?
no way. Go. Sorry, so
Yeah,
cut
carry
you
on,
off.
Scott.
And to be fair, I know a lot of projects who put this sort of stuff onto their system for a little bit of commission. So I can introduce you to a lot of top projects and arrange a lot of AMAs for you.
Yeah,
Explain. Do you know what I mean?
as you can probably tell, I'm not averse to actually talking a lot.
No, mate, you've done really well. You've done really well.
You are what we call the perfect
Really?
guest because it takes a lot of the pressure off of, obviously, having to host AMAs and things like that. Sometimes if you've got somebody who just gives you like 3-word answers, we've had that before. And
Really?
it's so hard, like trying to fill the dead air.
Yeah, I feel like you're cutting off the AMA.
Well, I don't know. If you'd have done this AMA, say around about 9 o'clock my time, you probably would have got a lot more coming out of my mouth, because usually that.
No, mate. Honestly, you've done amazing. Literally, you have done amazing. I'm sorry I haven't been that active. I've been literally. I am multitasking. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's no problem. I'm old enough. My multitasking is looking at the screen and speaking. That's about the only thing I can multitask at this stage, right? And come the end of the week, right, the brain's fried. So,
Well, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, Glenn, not Greg.
Yeah, not Greg. Look, I don't care. If you're going to be buying our coin and buying our rig, you can call me what you like. I don't care. Blender works, man. I don't care.
I'll definitely be looking to get in at launch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I was going to say as well, look, if there's any further questions, feel free to wander over to our Telegram group or wander over to Tencent's Telegram group. Our team is pretty much there 24/7. I'm there as well sometimes, so that's not an issue. I want to be as transparent as possible, and I think it's important that the CEO is in a Telegram chat. Most of the projects just shield their CEO from away from everybody, and I'm thinking that's kind of like the wrong way of doing it. If you're trusting people to actually have faith in you, then you've got to make an appearance and be available. So it's not an issue, right?
Definitely, yeah. Well, I think Scott can, tweet out your Telegram, thanking you for the AMA, and thanks very much. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Welcome. Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Give me 2 seconds. Obviously, I will be supporting you long term anyway. I think you're a top guy. I'm sorry I couldn't be that active tonight, but we'll do another AMA very soon, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go on. I'm up for AMAs, mate. I don't mind them at all. Not a problem, and not a worry at all. And thank you very much for hosting this, and thank you very much for allowing me to to explain everything and anything.
No, it's always nice to have an interesting project that's a bit different, especially when you've got a physical product to sell as well. Have you actually got a prototype of that? Like it's
a final product.
Oh, it's in the post to me right now.
Really?
No, they are going to send me one, and I'm gonna do some content on it. Yeah.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
No, it's a physical. Look at it, the prototype was some time ago, right? So it's all been tested. It's been battle tested. It works. The app works.
Yeah, I've pinned it in. Go look at the nest. I've pinned it in the nest.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen it. I've seen it on the website and everything. I just wondered if you had one
right
next to
it. It ticks, it whirs and clicks and does things and all sorts. Yeah, it's the only thing it doesn't do is make you a cup of tea.
That's shit then.
Yeah,
that's clean my house.
That's the next release. That's when the solar panel technology gets there to run a miner and a kettle.
No, Glenn, listen, you've done amazing, bro. Keep doing AMAs because you are a top guy and you deserve all the success. But
Thanks,
what I have to do is just explain to everyone here, it's not financial advice. Obviously, go and check the project out. If you like it, invest. If you don't, then that's on you. But yeah.
No, that's fine. Look, and I come from that crypto background around the exchanges and the compliance front. As is always, do your own research, right? There's one little funny story I got for you. When we was actually started to sell the token on our website direct some weeks ago, we had various people come on and say, can you show me, graphic form how much you've sold. And my answer was, why is that? I want to see how much is sold before I make a decision. And my answer was, this project is not for you. If you have to see a bit of graphic to decide whether to invest or not in a project, then I don't actually need you investing. Go away, do your own research. There's no figures, there's no bar, there's no nothing. Do your own research. If you think it's valid, invest. If you don't, then don't. A bar shouldn't show you whether to invest or not.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Right.
And do you know what pisses me off in this space? The amount of people that need it like handheld. Like literally, all you got to do is look at the team, look at what they're offering. You know, there's a lot of scams in this space. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of scams. But do you know what? The last 9 projects I've actually helped, or I've actually not met the teams, but I spoke to them on face chat and stuff like that. It doesn't mean they're not going to scam, but it gives you a lot more trust. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, right. I mean, you know, as with everything, any investment, it's a major decision. And if you're not 100%, and if the money that you're investing isn't risk capital, then don't.
Yeah, 100%, mate. In my opinion, and this is what I tell everyone in the main group, every new launch should be treated as a lottery ticket. Don't ever invest what you can't afford to lose. End of the day, even in the real world, so many companies launch which fail. It doesn't mean they intentionally launch to scam, but not everyone makes it, and it's really hard to explain to people. To be fair,
I don't know.
But to be fair, most of the AMAs with people that we do, they've gone on to do very well. So
yeah, hopefully. No, you know, you've got to have I mean, with any crypto investment, there has to be a strong foundation. There has to be a strong team. There has to be a strong roadmap. It has to tick all the boxes. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they have pretty graphics and the website's full of flash and everything else. It's just if the foundations are there, that makes a good project. If the tokenomics are sound and it makes sense, it's a good project. If they have a good market makers behind them, there's some good backers, then it's a good project. So, you know,
can I ask one question?
Yeah, sure.
Is the revenue completely generated from the devices sold? Like, how much does it cost? And
oh, I can't tell you that.
No.
But look,
It's fair enough.
I mean, with our projects as well, yes, a great deal of income is going to be coming from the miners because it's unique and there's a profit in there. Otherwise, why are we doing it? But the other income as well is going to be obviously from the projects that build on our protocol, because in due course, that actually attracts investment into the token and the coin.
Yeah.
Right?
No, 100%.
That's more a longer term thing. The other thing that we're actually enacting as well, and we're not doing it just yet, but in September, we will be going for an equity raise, right? So there's valuers coming in July and they're going to be doing their stuff. And then in September, we go for our equity raise between a number of VCs. If you look at the blockchain sort of list and how much those companies are worth at the moment, I think we get a very, very healthy rating by that time, right? For valuation compared to the other blockchains that are out there. So that's going to be sort of the next phase of SolarX, is once we start going for the Series A, B, C's, and D rounds, right? And that's when the acceleration of the take up of the protocol really takes off. So I'm excited by that as well.
Yeah, sounds good, mate. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Unless you've got anything else, Scott, to add or ask?
Nah, all I want to say is I know he was worried about this AMA, but you have done. You're an amazing guy. You've done so well, and not everyone likes doing like voice chats and stuff. But honestly, you smashed it, mate. And keep.
No, I don't mind them. I don't
keep
mind
with the good work.
You're a natural.
You are a natural.
Yeah, you want to see me down a pub on a Friday night? Well, actually, any night really, but. But yeah, it's no problem. It's
right, thank you very much, Glenn, from SolarX. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everyone else for listening in this main token space. Join the SolarX Telegram. Have a look. Do your own research, and obviously get investing if you feel the need to. Over the next couple of weeks, they'll be obviously they'll be doing some a pre-sale on 10 set next week on the 4th of May, and then launch after that on a couple of exchanges that we don't know what they are yet. But
I just want to say a massive thank you to you for hosting the whole AMA.
that's all right, mate.
You've done amazing, and thanks to everyone that joins.
Yes, thank you. Join us in our Telegram group, the main Telegram. Buy some tokens, get involved with our community, have some fun. All right. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you later. Bye-bye.